what would be the principles of a good public debate about economic policy?
I think it's useful when you talk about public policies, and that holds for all areas, if you have a very structured process to discuss what is it that we actually want to achieve with a certain policy measure, what are the indicators that we can use to assess whether we've actually reached our goals, and how can we use policies to get closer to our goals. And these goals might be very different for different policy areas. It's also different parts of the society that decide upon these policy areas. But I think having a structured process which guides our thinking about public policy, I think that would be very useful. We actually have it in some areas, but when it comes to evidence-based policy making, I think we have a long way to go in some other areas.
What factors contribute to resilience in the financial system?
I think many people think about resilience in terms of levels of debt, and is there enough debt-bearing capacity, or is debt sustainable, are debt levels sustainable? My thinking about resilience starts actually from the real economy. What are the fundamentals? What is the ability of households, firms, banks, also the public sector to bear risk? And that ultimately depends on how strong are these different actors in the economy from the real side. So higher productivity is the basis for resilience, and then of course it also plays a role what levels of debt are and whether debt levels are sustainable. But I think we always have these two sides. We have the indebtedness, and we also have the real side that plays an important role.
Dr. Buch, is the public sector responsible for managing risk?
No and yes. No, in the sense that it's individual market participants, banks, investors, whoever, they are in charge of managing their own risks. And I think those are the institutions that best know how to manage their risks. So the public sector can't possibly have all the information that is necessary to manage risks properly. But at the same time, and that's the yes part, at the same time it might be that if the individual market participant manages his or her own risk, he or she might overlook what the effects of her decision on the system are. So this is where the role of public policy comes in. So I think we have to have also a systemic view of the system. We have to understand how does risk build up in the system, and then eventually, if it's necessary, take the right policy measures to contain systemic risk. I think this is one of the key lessons from the crisis, that if we let risk management only to the individual market participant, then we might have systemic risks building up. So if you want, there's a coordination problem that only the public sector can solve. And incidentally, this is also helping the individual actors in the system, because if we can mitigate systemic risk, then it's to the benefit for all of us.